Did you know that only about 25% of tech roles globally are held by women, and even fewer lead major open source initiatives? Today, we are here to change that narrative, to learn from inspiring stories, and to explore how we can contribute to a more inclusive tech ecosystem. So, my name is Didas Mbarushimana, a software engineer, open source advocate, and leads and organizer of Open Source Kigali, a big community that connects developers, students, and tech enthusiasts to contribute, learn, and drive through open source. So this session is designed by interactive and inspiring. Uh, it's an inspiring session. So it's my pleasure to introduce our amazing speaker for today, Abigail Dogbe. Abigail is an open source research community builder and program manager from Ghana. She's passionate about program power of open source. Today she will share about her journey, strategies, and lesson learned from leading successful open source initiatives. So let us know go far. So Abigail Dogbe, the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Didas, and the Open Source Kigali community for inviting me to share. It's an honor. So I'm just going to share my screen, and
Thank you.
yeah, we'll get started.
So, all right.
Yeah. So yeah, hi everyone. Thanks so much, Didas, for the introduction. I'm honored, and I just put something small together to share about me. Like Didas mentioned, I'm a researcher, but particularly I have a master's in IT, and I did research in open source. And I'm currently a PhD IT student as well, and still conducting research within open source. I love open source programs management and building communities. In essence, I like to be the bridge between organizations and then people who are interested in contributing to open source. And I've done that in multiple ways, which I'm going to further share within my presentation. Now, when I'm not doing all of these, I also love inspiring young girls to pursue STEM careers. I have a nonprofit called Mesrenyame and Friends, where I bring folks around me together to teach, inspire, and bring more young girls or women into the STEM field. Now, outside of open source and STEM education, I love sports. I love art as well. I love painting and drawing and all. So if you don't find me doing all of this, like you find me do art. So before we even get started, I want us to chat about or to reflect on some myths about open source. If you're here and you do not know what open source is, that's okay. I'm just going to share briefly. Now, open source is the source code, right, of um, any software that you use, right? What they are saying is that what the owners of that software is saying is that the source code of that particular software that you're using has been made freely or publicly available to anyone to freely use, to modify, and to also even contribute to, right? And so you find platforms like or tools or software or programming languages like Python, Mozilla Firefox, and even VLC that we use. You find that these tools that we rely on so much are open source. I mean, what it means is that, first of all, we are using them for free. We are not paying to use them. And the source code that powers these particular tools have been made freely available, publicly available for people like us to contribute to, or to even use to also build other things, right? And so, with that in mind, and sharing for my journey, there's also some myth about like open source and typically how people can contribute to it, right? Because this particular word was coined out of the world of software engineering, people think that open source is all about contributing code or writing code. But I'll tell you that open source is more than that. And I'll show you in my next slide what that looks like. And there's also a myth that as a beginner, you cannot contribute to open source. That's a myth, because there are lots of open source projects that are looking for beginners. I mean, people who have skills like programming, design, or whatever skills, but have not like really done much within the software engineering ecosystem, right? To be able to bring their skills and gain real world skills. So if you're a beginner, there's a place for you in open source. Now, there's also a myth that contributing to open source is a waste of time. And it is not a waste of time, to be honest. Think about how much you can gain from bringing your skills into building tools that makes the world a better place, or that helps us to innovate in multiple domains, right? Contributing to open source is definitely not a waste of time. Most of these tools that people have built or are building, have powered a whole lot of innovations that is going on currently in the world. Like people like at NASA and all are using a lot of open source tools in what they do. Now, there's also another myth that you can't make money contributing to open source, and I'm here to say that it is indeed a myth. There are a couple of ways that you can actually earn from contributing to open source. And these come in multiple ways. There are multiple programs that are looking for people who can contribute to open source. So there's Outreachy, there's Google Summer of Code, Google Season of Docs, and they actually pay people to actually contribute to open source projects. Even you as well can even start teaching others about how to contribute to open source and make money out of it. You can do that like through sharing, like or starting like a YouTube channel and working hard at it so that you can even start monetizing some of the things that you do. So there's a whole lot of ways that you can make money contributing to open source. Now, like I mentioned earlier, one of the myths of about the world of open source has been open source is all about code. Now, that is not true, right? There are different ways that you can contribute to open source, and these are just like a couple of them that I could share here. But you can contribute through technical writing, documentation, of course, through code, through design, also managing communities, project management. If you love translation as well, you speak French, you can help translate an open source docs from English to French. That is actually you contributing. You can also help other people by answering their questions on a project. That is you contributing to open source. And it can be as, I would even say as little, because like they are all huge contributions to open source. But you can even help fix a typo on a website, and that's you contributing to open source. And it doesn't have to be software. You can definitely create a list of something that's helpful and make it open for other people to also contribute to it, right? That is pretty much the essence of open source. Now, there are a whole lot of benefits of contributing to open source. Open source can help you improve your skills and experiences. Imagine that you are a university student, you have skills, you know how to use Python, you know how to use Java, you know how to use whatever languages and tools, Visual Studio Code, and all of that. And what all the things that you've been doing, like you are restricted to all the things that you learn in the classroom, right? Open source can help you improve your skills and experiences in the sense that when you get to contribute to an open source project, this is something that looks like a project that is like outside of your schoolwork, outside of the school environment. And you think about it, you're contributing to real world solutions or applications that are out there. And this can help you improve your skills and experiences. You can also network with people from around the world, um, which is something that I have personally experienced a lot. Like whilst I was in Ghana, I was, contributing to the Pythons of the community, and through that, I was able to interact or link with other community members globally, right? In the US, in Asia, in Europe, and wherever. Open source can give you that opportunity. You can also earn from contributing. I think I mentioned a couple of that like in the previous slide. And one of the other ways is also to build open source projects and have a model that can help you monetize some parts of that particular project, right? And now, the last thing I think is also something that's a huge benefit, that contributing to software you rely on can give you a sense of purpose. And that was pretty much what my journey looked like. So, for my journey, I am just going to share a couple of things. I'm going to try as much as I can to put it together and in a simple manner, summarize it so that we can move on quickly. But open source helped me find purpose, specifically through community building. And I started off doing a whole lot before I actually really found a specific thing that I really I was drawn to in the world of open source. So I just a little bit background again. I actually have a degree, or my bachelor's degree was in computer science and engineering, right? And I graduated from a school, one of the most prominent like engineering schools in Ghana, and in 2017. And I spent 4 years of my time in school not liking computer science and engineering. That's so weird, right? Like a whole 4 years. But I would say that open source changed a lot of things for me. It gave me a lot of perspective into what the world of software engineering or computer science like looked like, to the extent that I am here now pursuing a PhD in this particular field. So in 2017, I heard about open source for the first time through Django Girls. I was a mentee, so I learned how to build a website using Python and Django. And someone, after that session, right, someone encouraged me to also mentor other women. And so I decided to attend the next event. And I didn't stop. I kept attending the next and the next and the next and the next and the next. So I've had the chance to travel to different parts like of Ghana, teaching and introducing young girls. So this was the era where I was actually teaching code and trying to build um, tiny projects for fun, because even the job that I had at that time had got nothing to do with the I mean, what I was doing volunteering for the open source community. And in that same time too, I joined the Python Ghana community, and I also started my national service because I was fresh from school and I needed to serve my nation. Now in 2018, sorry, I I became the team lead for PyLadies Ghana. And like I said, I also traveled some more for Django Girls, teaching like other young girls. And I also started interacting with the international PyLadies community. So PyLadies, if you're not aware, is simply women who code the Python programming language, right? And um, we started PyLadies Ghana, and that also gave me an opportunity to start interacting with the international PyLadies community. Remember that one of the benefits that I mentioned earlier was contributing to open source can help you network with people globally. That is what PyLadies did for me. And so I was in Ghana, but I would invite other people from different parts of the world to give a talk, to be engaged in our training sessions and all of that. And it was very fun. Keep in mind that whilst I was doing this, I was still having my job as a national service person. Now, in 2019, I became an organizer at PyCon Africa. Um, it was so cool. So, PyCon Africa, like the name goes, is a Python conference for the African community. Then, and at that time, the first edition was held in Ghana, and so it was so nice to be a part of it. And I also started contributing to PyLadies Global. I became a part of the team at PyLadies Global that were overseeing a couple of things for PyLadies communities like globally. And I was kept doing a lot of travels for Jungle Girls events. And that same year, I became a fellow at the Python Software Foundation. And I also got to volunteer at PyCon US. So I hope that some of the things that I've mentioned earlier are starting to like you're seeing that in my journey and how that like kept like unfolding, right? And bear in mind, throughout this time I was still in Ghana and I still had a full-time job, right? But I definitely love the fact that I could do this. I could travel to multiple parts like of the country and teach others and bring others into open source. So in 2020, I gave my first keynote. It was online, but I spoke to an audience in Europe. The conference was called EuroPython, and I got to share a couple of things about what it looks like for the African open source community, specifically the Python software community within Africa. And in that year, I was awarded a Community Service Award from the Python Software Foundation. As if that wasn't enough, I also won a Google Open Source Peer Bonus Award in that same year. And in that year as well, I still showed up to help organize PyCon Africa. But unfortunately, because there was COVID and all, it was online. But it was a fun experience doing all of this. Now, in 2021, I finally stepped down as a team lead for PyLadies Ghana after building a very successful team. But don't get it twisted. Even though I'm currently based in the US, I still contribute to PyLadies Ghana, except that I am not the team lead. Yeah. But also in that same year, I started a STEM for Girls legacy project. And I think I already mentioned a little bit about that, where we teach and inspire young girls to think about and pursue STEM careers. So in 2022, I started everything open source because I wanted to do more. Everything open source is an organization that is teaching and bringing other people into open source and showing them the multiple ways that people can contribute to open source. We've organized some sprints. We've had a Wikipedia session this year. it's been so fun actually starting out something that was different and outside of the Python software community. In that same year as well, I became an individual member at the Django Software Foundation, and I moved as well to the US to start graduate school, which led to me starting or being a part of the research community and contributing to open source through research, right? So, so 2022, that is, it was a huge move for me. I moved from Ghana to come to the US to pursue graduate school. But I never stopped contributing to open source. Even through my research in the MSIT program, I still did research that was or is in open source. And I just want to share something. Before 2022, remember that I had mentioned that as at the time that I had graduated from school in 2017, I actually did not like computer science and engineering. I didn't know the specific thing to pursue in that, like in that field. And so it was tough. Even when I felt that I wanted to do something new by pursuing graduate school, even up until then, I still really didn't know the exact thing that my research was going to be about. Like when I started to pursue um, the master's program, but I knew that I wanted to change. I knew that I wanted something new. I knew that I wanted to take a bigger step in my career, right? Or do something better or expand in my quest to contributing to open source. And keep in mind that I still had a job. At a point in time, I lost my job, and I got hired again as a chief of staff of an engineering department, but I kept contributing to open source. So now, as we move on, in 2023, I got my first paid open source internship. So this is it. I have contributed to the Python Software Foundation in so many ways that now I've been able to network with people. I've been able to gain real world experience that even for this role, I didn't even have to submit a CV for it, right? The Python Software Foundation hired me as an intern to work on a couple of projects. And this is actually one of the ways that I was able to like earn from contributing to open source. And in 2023, I also kept giving talks that I even gave 3 keynotes in multiple parts of the world. I traveled to Canada. Um, I also even traveled to the Netherlands as well, and it was all through open source. And they were funded by open source
So
organizations.
so you travel a lot.
Yes, but through open
Yeah,
source.
because since you start, you are talking us about traveling. You see.
But I mean, this was something that happened to me after years of doing multiple
Yeah,
things whilst I was in Ghana. So I guess the lesson is that even when I was in Ghana, I kept doing stuff. I didn't pause, and I kept networking with people internationally. And so when I moved here to the US, like a couple of things now fell in place, right? Because now you are in an environment where there's a lot of innovation, there's a lot of things going on, and people now know you. They want you to come and teach them some of the things that you've done and how you've built and sustained open source like communities. And so I guess
yeah,
all I'm trying to say is just do the work, right? There are a lot of things that will come and will follow at a point in time that would even blow your mind. And also just trying to help also do away with some of the myths that people have about contributing to open source. I love it here. It's not a waste of time, but it's helped me find purpose in so many ways. And guess what? Throughout all these times, even when I was giving talks, I was still contributing in multiple ways. So it doesn't stop there. In 2024, I won the Outstanding Pi Lady of the Year award from Pi Ladies Global, and I attended PyCon US, and I got this award, and so always honored. And that same year, that's why I graduated from the master's program, and then I won another award for Graduate Student of the Year with all the work that I had done in research, um, which was
Oh,
something that
all those for one person.
yes, by God's grace.
All right, all
Yeah.
right, yeah.
And in that same year too, I started my PhD. All right. And I'm currently in the PhD program, and I'm still contributing to open source through my research and through some other community work that I do at the Python Software Foundation. But in 2025, just a couple of things. I spoke and volunteered at the United Nations Open Source Week. I also became a Microsoft MVP for the work that I do in the Python um, open source community. And I also became a 2025 STEM influencer in Cincinnati. That is the city that I currently live in. As if all of that wasn't enough, I also got elected to be on the board at the Python Software Foundation. So look at that. This was a young girl who never liked computers, mathematics, sat in a computer science and engineering class for 4 years and hated it. But found open source and decided to stick to open source. And now I'm on the board at the Python Software Foundation. Come on. There's a lot of things that open source can do for you if you stick to it and if you find a way of contributing that works for you. So all of these didn't come easy. There were some challenges, of course, work-life balance, like I mentioned. I was contributing, going all out. I was traveling different parts of Ghana. But I had a job, a full-time job that was paying me and all. And so that was a lot of struggle. Trying to make sure that I gave my best at work as well. And I'm always grateful for all of the bosses that I got to work with. They knew that I loved contributing to open source and I loved doing all these other stuff. And so they actually created an environment where I could excel at work and also be able to do stuff outside of work. There's also the whole imposter syndrome aspect. There's also handling constant change and uncertainty. I remember I mentioned that there was a time I lost my job, and sometimes it's so difficult to lose your job and still think about contributing to open source, right? Because at the time when you are still contributing to open source, you're not being paid. But hey, you're looking for something that can get you paid to make a living. But guess what? I didn't stop contributing. So it was really a challenge, right? Handling like all of that. There's also the issue of burnout, limited resources. So these challenges are a mixture of my personal challenges and then some of the challenges that we encountered, like building open source communities like in Ghana and all, right. We had limited resources to help other people also get started contributing to open source. There's also the issue of travel and visas. You get opportunities, but you get visa denials, and it's so annoying, it's so painful. But trust me, like keep holding on. I never was able to travel outside of like Ghana whilst I was in Ghana. The only time I was able to travel was a work travel to Nigeria, because at a point I got hired by a company in Nigeria, and they flew me out to do work, right? But that was work and hadn't got anything to do with open source. But I did contribute to open source for a long time, and I struggled with travel and visas when some of the opportunities came for open source. But look at me now. I'm in grad school now and in the US, and I've been able to do a lot of travel without having like visa issues, right? So I guess what I want to say is that like give it time, right? With time, everything would fall into place. We also had a challenge finding opportunities, especially for junior developers, and also paid open source contributions. It can be tough trying to find like paid open source contributions, and so that was like a huge challenge, even though like they exist. As a community, we struggled to do that, but there were times that we had some positive news and all of that, where some of our community members had a chance to work with Microsoft, to even contribute to like other international like open source projects and get paid for it. But it did come with a lot of hard work and challenges. Now, personally, contributing to open source has helped me develop resilience. It has helped me embrace discomfort. One of the discomfort is actually public speaking. I have never liked public speaking as well. And fortunately or unfortunately, there's been so many times that people would invite me to say, we want to learn from you. We want to learn from how you have been able to sustain communities that you built. And it's like, I don't have an option than to put myself together and embrace that discomfort of public speaking. There's also the aspect of personal growth. Contributing to open source has helped me grow like personally in a lot of things and areas. Above all, it has also helped me find purpose. I kind of now know where I fit in the world of computing, or in even in this particular world of open source. I know that I love, like I mentioned earlier, being the bridge between open source organizations and then people who want to contribute or be a part of the thing that that particular organization is doing. Now, despite all the challenges, I persevered, and I believe that you can do it too. So, these are just my final words. I believe that the future is open. We need all hands on deck. And so today, the question I would leave with you to ponder on would be, how are you helping? How would you bring the skills that you have into the world of open source so that we can keep innovating, we can keep building amazing tools that at the long run help move the world forward. So thank you, and let's connect. LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, X, and GitHub as well. Thank you so much, Didas and team, for inviting me to share, Aned. Didas, you're muted.
Yes, yes, the future is open, as you said. Thank you so much, Abigail, for this talk. You talked, you tell us a lot of things, so I don't know where to start exactly. You were telling us about traveling, like you started at 2017. So you told us about like contributing to open source can help you to network globally. So your journey is very, very impressive. So because time is going fast, I have a lot of questions for you, but let me check if there is some questions in the comments. All right. So let me ask you a question, Abigail. So yeah, people enjoy this talk. Yeah, a lot of people. So there is a question of someone. So that is a question. Can you see Abigail?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so how can we use AI for contributing to open source? Oh, this is actually a good question. There's a lot of ways, like I mentioned. um you, depending on the specific thing that or specific way that you want to contribute to open source, right? For example, if you want to contribute to open source via code, now there's something called vibe coding where you're using AI tools to help you build stuff or help you yeah, essentially build stuff, right? And so you can use AI tools to actually build open source tools that other people can also contribute to, right? And you can actually use AI tools to brainstorm um, on some of the things that you can do when you find a specific way that you want to contribute to. So, for example, you want to create content on how people can contribute to open source. You can use an AI tool to help you brainstorm on some of the things that you can think about, some of the topics that you can put together, or even how you can structure those tutorials or those topics to be able to help you teach a particular audience. And I mean, most definitely, like there's a whole lot. Think about the typical and usual ways that you use AI, and look at how you can bring that like into open source. And I believe that that will work out like perfectly.
Thank you, Abigail. There is another question. He's saying, please. Yeah, there is another question for Deborah
Mhm.
from Ghana. Yes, Deborah from Ghana. Yeah. So,
So okay. Yeah, thank you. I think this is actually a great question. Um because I first also heard about digital public goods, I think sometime last year or so, but it's majorly from the United Nations. That's actually how I heard about digital public goods. But they are typically resources, open source resources that are shared as a public good to help achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, right? And so, to answer if it is the same, I wouldn't say it's the same, but digital public open source is within digital um, public goods. And open source helps people to think about how they can build digital public goods. I hope that makes sense. So, in this particular world, you're using the concept of open source tools available to you. You're brainstorming and thinking about what kinds of tools can we build, right? Make freely available for people to use that will lead to an end goal of helping us solve the United Nations sustainable goals.
thank you so much, Abigail. So, I wanted you to come back on what you were saying about like open source is not free, because many people think that open source is free. Like even in my community, React.js Rwanda and Open Source Kigali. So most of people think that open source is free. Open source is free. So yeah, what are you? Why are you spending your time? Like that. So I want you to come back on that, the benefits of open source, of contributing to open source. Like yeah.
Can you put your question together again? You want
So
me to, yeah.
all right. So because most of people think that open source is free, like
Mhm.
it's spending time. If you're contributing to open source, you are spending your time. So I wanted you to try to explain more like the benefit that you can get from contributing to open source
Oh yeah.
project. Yeah,
I think I had that in one part of my slide.
yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, there are so many ways that you can benefit from contributing to open source. Like I said, you can improve your skills and your experiences. You can network. You can also earn from contributing. Um, there are most of these open source tools that we see, people built them. And so think about how this even is proof that even you yourself, right, could build an open source tool that will be beneficial to other people, right? And that's actually possible. You can actually build an open source tool and actually earn from it. Because this is true because there are multiple ways that you can think about how to monetize your open source project. These days there are people funding open source projects, and that's a way that people are able to earn from the tools or the projects that they build. Sometimes to people provide multiple tiers for how free that particular open source tool is. So you might be able to use that tool in its sense like for free. But for example, if you want extra features, if you want something extra, maybe you would be encouraged to pay a token for them to be able to also have you get more out of that particular tool, right? Um, so there are definitely like multiple benefits. And I think for me, one of the things that is at the top for me is the fact that contributing to software that I rely on can give me a sense of purpose. Like, imagine being a part of the people who built like VLC or people who contributed to such a tool. It's like, oh, there are people all over the world who are using this tool, and I was a part of it, right? It's actually like really, really fulfilling. And so there are so many ways that you can benefit from contributing to open source. And I mean, one of the other things that I always think about is whilst you are benefiting from it as well, make sure you bring other people into it, right? And a way is teaching other people. And you might not even really see the benefit in the world of open source, right? But personally, for you, for your personal growth, imagine that you found a way of contributing to open source and you decide to bring other people into it to also teach them how to contribute to open source projects. At the end of the day, you are growing in terms of speaking, you are growing in terms of teaching, and these skills are essential skills that we need in multiple like job roles and like multiple environments that we find ourselves in. So even if the benefit doesn't look like something that you're gaining like within open source, to say, okay, am because I contributed, I'm now an open source instructor, right? Even if it's got nothing to do with open source, at the end of the day, the skills that you gain from contributing to open source, you can utilize in other aspects of your life, in other environments that you find yourself in.
Thank you so much. There is a lot of questions, so I'm not sure that we'll talk all questions, but let us see this. What is the line between?
Yeah. So this is actually a good question. Um, what is the line between
Yeah.
contribution and control in open source? So the fact that open source software is made freely available doesn't mean that they don't have rules that govern them, right? So you hear something like open source licenses, right? And typically, if you find an open source project, one of the first things you should do is to check the kind of license they use, right? And the license that that particular open source project used dictates to you the extent to which you can use that particular or contribute to that particular open source tool or project. So you should definitely learn about like the different license. That is a whole conversation on its own, but
Yeah.
keep that in mind, and knowing that if you do not adhere to that license that has been put on that particular open source project, there might be consequences. People who own that open source project can take you on, right? And so this actually even gives me joy, like when it comes to the different skills and ways that you can bring like your skills into open source, right? This means that there are folks who are practicing law or lawyers, right, who are in this particular field and they know about open source licenses and some of the things that guides this particular world of open source, and they're actually able to take on people who do not adhere to the rules or whatever the licenses say to that open source project. So you can contribute, but at the end of the day, you need to adhere to the rules. You can use it for your own personal projects, like on the side or whatever. But at the end of the day, you need to adhere to the rules that governs that particular open source project or tool that you're using. So I believe that that helps with the control bit, um, and the extent to which people are able to use or contribute to these multiple open source projects.
Thank you so much, Abigail Dogbe from Ghana, actually in America. So I think I will meet you in America in PyCon USA if I have a chance in
Fingers
2026.
crossed. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much because the time is going fast. We are at the end. So for those who are new on this Open Source Kigali sessions, so please you need to subscribe on this channel. Give us a like, and you can ask questions. You can ask your question to Abigail on LinkedIn. She's so active on LinkedIn. Also, you can try to, if you have another question, you can ask me, or you can join me on LinkedIn. So about Open Source Kigali, we are on Discord, we are on LinkedIn. Also, we have a big community on WhatsApp also. So thank you so much, Guy, for being on this session, and see you next time.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. See you all.
Thank you, Abigail. Bye.